We're at USA MedBed and we're looking at refurbished, used, recertified Hill Rom hospital beds. And for anybody out there that doesn't know, Hill Rom is one of the biggest brands when it comes to hospital beds in the United States. And these are hospital grade beds. These are not home care beds. These are real high quality 6-function feature beds that go into chair positions, and they can come with an air or a foam mattress. Now, if you've watched any of the other videos I've done here in 2025, we're going to go over some of the best models that are available by Hill Rom, and these are going to be sold used, refurbished, reconditioned, and we'll get into kind of what some of the terminology means. But what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some of the more high-end beds and then get down to some of the more basic full electric hospital beds, medical beds that are out there and that are options right now, and give you a little bit of information on all of those. Now, the one bed right here that is the best bed made is the Hill Rom Progressa. The Hill Rom Progressa bed is a bed that has many different features, including a percussion vibration feature that'll help break up upper respiratory congestion. And if we go back, it also has a rotation feature, meaning that it can help turn the person and you can set a timer. It also sits fully into a chair position. Now we've got it set up with a Hill Rom mattress and a Hercules mattress next to it. The footboard comes off, the feet physically touch the ground. You can stand right in front of the patient or the person in bed, help them out. And the other thing that's really nice about a Progressa bed is that it has a full set of controls for the patient. So you can put yourself in a chair position, you can do all other different types of features. Many hospital beds, and you still have controls on the inside rail. Many other hospital beds are going to give you limited features when it comes to a pendant or a hand control. Basically the same thing with just two different terminologies. Pendant would be the medical term, and hand control obviously would be something more for home. But these are both Progressa hospital beds. Now this mattress here is a little bit different. It can come with some advanced features that'll help raise the person up to the top of the bed. If they've got feeding tubes and if there's a ventilator or something going on and they cannot basically bring the feet above the head and the head has to stay up, this will have a system that'll help bring the person up to the top of the bed. It's very specialized and it's for very high-end patient care. We have both these different versions in stock right now at this time. The bed series that came before the Progressa beds was the Total Care series. And we actually have a Total Care P1900. This is actually the P1840, meaning that it is a total care hospital bed. It does the rotation, it does the percussion, but it's one series before the Progressa beds came out. And this bed here, the 1840, is a 40-inch width surface for the patient, whereas both these right here and all other hospital beds are going to be 36. So the 1840 bed is a bariatric bed. It's a great bed. The footboard comes off, it goes fully into a chair. However, for bariatric patients, if you're over 350, there's just not enough width in this bed to really make it useful. So bariatric, meaning that if it's, if you need more than just this bed right here and you want some extra room. But most bariatric beds are at least 42 inches. Primarily, most of them really are 48 inches. So this bed right here being 40 inches is wider than the average hospital bed. It has all those great features, but 40 inches is kind of, just out of a Twin XL. And in fact, just so you know, Twin XL 36 inch by 80 inch. These right here will go 82, but most of these are 36 by 80 inch sleep surface, which means that it's a Twin XL bed size if you're trying to refer to what it would be as a home bed. So now in 2025, the Progressa bed is obviously one of the best beds you can get. And then, if not the best, actually. And then you've got the Total Care series, which was the series that ran just before it. Now, the bed that comes after that is going to be called a Hill Rom Centrella. And the Centrella is a current bed model, so these do not come out in large quantities. But this is a really good, solid foam mattress bed. These beds here were air mattress. Now we're getting into foam. However, a Centrella bed can come equipped with foam or air mattress. These right here are equipped with foam. So basically, foam mattresses, for anybody that doesn't know, are primarily for people that get in and out of bed. They're still mobile, and they're still up moving around. And being mobile does not mean you get out of bed and you sit in a wheelchair. That's immobile. You're just transferring the weight from the bed to a wheelchair. Foam mattresses are really for people that are still getting up, that are still mobile. Air mattresses really are primarily for people that are at risk of getting bed sores and pressure wounds. And the air surface runs a low air loss feature that whisks away moisture and it keeps the skin dry and really is there. Air mattresses are really primarily there to prevent bed sores. However, when you get into the high-end beds, for people that are paraplegic, quadriplegic, stroke, ALS, different features, the mattress will turn them. And with these beds here, these three also have a percussion feature, which we would call pulmonary, that'll also break up congestion in the lungs. So the Centrella bed is going to be a high-end, full electric hospital bed with the foam mattress. It can come with air, and that's a great bed. The bed coming after that is going to be an Advanta 2. And the Advanta 2 bed was only made for a very short period of time. It's also a great bed. Primarily, this bed's going to come equipped with a foam mattress, but it can also be equipped with an air mattress if you want to upgrade that. And then last but not least, probably one of the best-selling beds Hill Rom ever made, which was the Hill Rom VersaCare, the P3200 VersaCare Bed. Really a workhorse. They ran this bed for about 12 years. They haven't made it now for probably at least 6, maybe 7. However, the Centrella bed is actually, the VersaCare bed is actually better built than, in my opinion, the Advanta 2. And it's probably better than the Care Assist, which I really dislike that bed. You do not see that bed in here because I just find it's just not a good bed model. So one of the things you notice about me in the videos, we work with the beds. We know the beds very well. Been doing this 15 years plus and literally have hundreds of videos out there because we've got a fully stocked showroom. And I can take you in the back. We've got beds all over this entire warehouse, and we sell beds literally by the thousands. So the Advanta 2 is a good bed. It looks nice. You know, I'm not going to say too much more about that. But the bed that came before that was in between the VersaCare and the Advanta 2, was called a Care Assist, and just not my favorite bed. It has a lot of issues, motherboards and things that can go out on it. I think personally it was just built cheap. I don't like it. They built them and one of those deals where they started building stuff out of the country, even though they had a really good foundation based out of Batesville. We'll save that for another video. However, the VersaCare bed, to get back to that, solid, rock solid, durable. Now, this bed can come with the foam or an air mattress. I want to talk to this today. If you see there where it says P500, they made this bed for about, we'll just say 12 years. During about 3 of the years of the production of this bed, they made it with a P500 mattress. And what is that? That's basically a low air loss mattress. Now, the higher end beds that we saw earlier are also going to be low air loss. What is low air loss? Basically, underneath this cover, you've got little air bladders that inflate, and those air bladders have little tiny holes in them. And those holes in that mattress or in that air bladder release air, and that air circulates over the surface of the mattress. And what that air does is it whisks away moisture and it keeps skin dry. So the primary feature that you need to have with an air mattress system is low air loss. However, a vast majority of the beds that were made as VersaCare beds did not have low air loss. So as much as I love the VersaCare bed, now the VersaCare bed right here, we have it with air. It can come with foam. The VersaCare bed is either going to, if you want it with air, you want it with the P500 mattress. If you want it with foam, it is a phenomenal bed. This is literally, I'm not joking, this is a bed that can go off the back of a truck, roll 3 times, and you plug it in, it'll still work. This is a tank. However, if you're looking for an air mattress and it doesn't have the P500, in my opinion, it's completely useless, because you have to understand, when that bed was made, it was made for short-term stays in a hospital, right? So they're thinking, oh, they're in there 3, 4, 5, 6 days. They're not putting a lot of features in the mattress. They're thinking of it more of a short-term stay. So if you're buying this thing for home and you're thinking, wow, I'm getting an air mattress, and you don't understand what low air loss is, and you don't understand that some, like the VersaCare bed, doesn't have low air loss aside from the P500 series, then you're not really getting the features of the mattress. And having air is nice because, let's say this is your heel. your heel, it'll sink further in. It won't just stay up on the two, like on the top. With foam, you're going to stay a little bit higher up on the surface. So a smaller portion of the heel is going to be basically hitting the mattress. When you're going into foam, the whole heel itself will be enveloped, and it puts less pressure on smaller parts of the body. So that's another thing that an air mattress is going to do. However, there's always a situation where the bed's going to be good for one use or another. And the VersaCare beds, you can disengage the air system, throw a foam mattress on there, which many hospitals actually do that. So when we're looking at the refurbished Hill Rom beds, I want to get into what is refurbished and what is reconditioned, and basically what is just patient ready, right? So what you're going to see here with the beds in the showroom is that we've got these tags on them. We call them green tag, meaning they're ready to go out. And what that is basically a PM, which stands for preventive maintenance. And preventive maintenance is something that has to be done in a hospital setting. And the beds you have to go through the beds to certify them. So when you're basically bringing a bed back into a hospital, it has to be recertified, meaning there's a PM checklist. You have to go through. That paperwork has to be attached to the bed, and that shows the hospital that it has been serviced. It is patient ready. So that is really how the beds are sold, recertified. Now, you could get into a bed, that's 15, 20, 30 years old. Sometimes those beds are out there, and you might have to sand down the whole thing. You might have to replace the rails. They've turned yellow. On a Progressa bed, or some of these really high-end beds that are not that old, they're going to go through a preventive maintenance inspection. If you have things like the mattress covers all torn and beat up, that's going to get replaced. You can see most of these in here look brand new. Sometimes they need them, sometimes they don't. But refurbished would really be more like tearing the whole bed apart and replacing everything on it. And that's what you're going to do for a real old bed. You're not going to replace a bunch of parts on a bed that are in perfectly good working order just for the sake of saying that you replaced them all for no good reason, much like you wouldn't replace tires on a car that only have 5,000 miles on them. So refurbished, recertified, there's different terms that are being used. And sometimes, like as an example, maybe down here with the VersaCare bed, meaning that it's probably 10 or 15 years old. Maybe we have to go in there and we have to resand that, or maybe we've got to go in and replace, pieces on the bed. But you can see for the most part, the beds are always going to come out in really good condition. And the reason why is that these things all weigh 500, 600, 700 pounds, and nobody's pushing these things up and down a hospital. Once a bed goes into a patient room, it's staying in the patient room, right? It's not like a stretcher that's going up and down hallways that's going to get smashed into the wall, and there's going to be broken bumpers and, all different types of things that can go wrong. So when you're looking for hospital beds, Hill Rom is the gold standard. They've got the best beds. Now, we also have beds in here by Stryker, which we're going to talk about in some other videos, which I also like. But if you're out there looking for a Hill Rom bed, and you want a refurbished Hill Rom bed, or one that's recertified, that's patient ready to go back into service, that's really where we come in. We provide a higher level of patient care. We can sell home care beds. However, you're getting a lot more value off of a used Hill Rom or Stryker bed than you are most cases buying a brand new home care bed, because they have a lot less features. These are solid steel frame beds. This one right here is 600 plus pounds. Most of them are at least 500 pounds or more. And so, many times you just get more value, but there are times where you're going up on a 6th floor and it's a small elevator, and, there's times where you need a home care bed. Most of the time, the people we talk to have gotten home from the hospital. They got something from insurance. It's not very good. If you've seen my previous videos, we used to have one of those old brown beds, which wasn't old. It was actually new, but they're still selling them that way. And you can see right away that's not going to work. That's not going to be adequate. So then what happens is they go into a secondary market. Now, Hill Rom and Stryker only sell beds to hospitals. They do not have a home care division. So if you're going to get a real solid hospital bed, you're going to end up coming through a secondary provider, which is where we come in. And Jeremy, who's our lead technician here, 15 years as a technician for Hill Rom, still doing contracts for hospitals, still out every single day working and repairing beds. you need those kind of guys on the force. You need good support on the back end to make sure that we can take care of the bed once it's been sold. And so that is kind of where we come in. Now, this showroom here, we're in Richmond, Virginia. San Diego, California is another location. So we sell beds all over the United States. In the last week, we've shipped beds to Ohio, Pennsylvania. We've got orders right now going to Illinois, Florida, Texas. I mean, we ship beds all over the United States, all over the world. Actually, 50 VersaCare beds right now are being loaded at another warehouse of ours that are going to Pakistan in a 40-foot container. We sell hospital beds by the thousands. We know this very well. There's a huge difference between having the bed in a showroom and having your hands on it every day and knowing how the beds work and having a generic picture on a website that means that you're just putting it up there and selling it, but you really don't get your hands on it. You probably don't even know it that well. And there's nothing wrong with that either, because everybody out there has to earn a living. However, we are very good at what we do. We're very specialized, obviously, in beds. We do sell other medical, and actually we do a lot of health and wellness. Those are real actual med beds back there that are kind of a whole new thing that's coming out. But if you're looking for a hospital bed in 2025, if you're looking for a full electric medical bed, Hill Rom is a great brand, and you can call us, San Diego, California, 858-263-4894. Richmond, Virginia, 540-327-7376. You can visit our website, hospitalbeds.com. And you can also go to hospitalbedshop.com, which all those links will be down below. And we can go through, and we sell beds for all different situations. Now, we do have extra wide beds, bariatric beds. Beds with foam and air mattress are the first cutoff. You got to figure out if the person in the bed needs foam or air. And then the goal is to try to find the person and get them the best bed that has the most value for the least amount of money. So USA Med Bed, Hospital Direct Medical, we are your one-stop shop. Over 15 years of business, doing these videos, trying to help educate you so you get the right bed, the right one that fits your needs. We're here for you. Give us a call and like and subscribe, and stay tuned for our next video. Thanks for watching today, and have a great afternoon.